Hello there and good morning to you. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin coming to you again, streaming right now on Atlanta News First Plus with a check of the forecast. Today's edition of Weather Where You Are. And it's nothing but improving news in the forecast, considering how nasty it was last night, yesterday evening, and the wee hours of this morning. But again, today's edition of Weather Where You Are, we are focusing in on the fact that temperatures are dropping, winds are increasing, a big change in the weather pattern, the temperature across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. In fact, when you went to work this morning, if you left early, you probably drove with temperatures in the mid-60s in the city of Atlanta. Now cooler than that, and temperatures will struggle to recover back into the low to mid-60s as we get into this afternoon, as even chillier weather arrives in the First Alert forecast. Again, something we're going to be watching here, not just the chillier temperature, but also the wind. We're going to be dealing with quite a bit of wind here as we get deeper into the afternoon, so just keep that in mind. If you have plans outside this afternoon and this evening, it's the fact that temperatures are falling, and you can see here with this First Alert Weather Day graphic, the trees already moving quite a bit, and we have not had our windiest weather yet. I think sustained winds, 15 to 25 as we get into the afternoon, perhaps some gusts up to about 40 miles an hour, windiest late afternoon on into early evening. So today, a First Alert Weather Day. Storms are gone, but we want you to be aware of the fact that temperatures are really dropping here. Big change from yesterday. Lower 80s yesterday, upper 50s to near 60 this afternoon. So a 20 to 25 degree drop in temperature in one day. And what's even trickier here is that many went to work when it was still relatively mild outside with temperatures in the mid, even upper 60s. Already we have some cooler air in the First Alert forecast. We'll walk you neighborhood by neighborhood in just a moment. Current temperatures down to your community level in just a bit. But again, First Alert Weather Day today, kind of summarizing the forecast here in your weather headlines. Much cooler air is arriving, accompanied by some gusty winds, and it lingers through the rest of the work week. Good news, though, if you want some more comfortable conditions, all that sunshine, there is brilliant weather in the First Alert weekend forecast. Again, talk about a contrast of temperatures. We're down to 56. When many were driving into work this morning, it was 66, 67 degrees. So temperatures falling. Blairsville in the upper 40s. Covington 60. 52 in Canton. 54 in Rome. 51 in Carrollton. So certainly it is a trend downward or chillier in the First Alert forecast here, not just in the city of Atlanta, but across much of North Georgia at this time. I want to thank you for tuning in to Weather Where You Are today. I want to remind you we're streaming across many platforms right now. AtlantaNewsFirst.com, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, the Atlanta News First app, First Alert Weather app, a lot of places, Apple TV included. But if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, YouTube is kind of the place to stream on, the place to be. Monitoring that stream, no questions coming in yet. But again, if you do have any weather questions, comments, concerns, just go to Atlanta News First YouTube account. Quite literally, just search Atlanta News First on YouTube in the little search bar and find our account. You can stream this particular stream, give us a like and a follow, and you can be alerted to streams just like it in the future. Now let's talk about the difference in temperature between right now and 24 hours ago. It's 8 degrees cooler in Athens, 23 degrees cooler right now in Blairsville compared to just 24 hours ago. Nearly 20 degrees cooler in Rome. So a little bit of a shock to the system. You factor in the wind, and it's even more noticeable, an even greater difference between what it felt like yesterday and what it feels like outside right now. We have a little bit of sunshine, though I do think clouds are going to win that battle a little bit later this afternoon into this evening. First alert going into and through the early evening hours. In fact, while it is still going to be chilly this evening, it's really this afternoon that you're going to notice the change. You're already going to need the jacket. And then as we slide into the evening, hopefully you've already, adjusted the old wardrobe and have some extra layers, some warmer gear to wear for the evening plans. But temperatures back in the upper 40s and lower 50s, 10, 11, and midnight. Again, at least a light jacket, a good idea. But the reason for the First Alert Weather Day, that first alert, that is just to remind you that, hey, we have a pretty big change over the past day or so, 12 to 24 hours here across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. So just keep that in mind. We have the winds, we have the clearer sky, we have the chilly temperatures. Big change from yesterday with temperatures in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And I want to remind you, as you go about your Wednesday, storms are gone. No reason to have the First Alert weather app, the severe weather alerts turned on in the app, but still a good idea to keep an eye on the app. Not only current temperature, but what it feels like with that wind blowing. That's always available to you in the First Alert weather app. If you don't have the app yet, it would have been a really good tool to have, especially on the east side, southeast side last night. All you have to do is search Atlanta News First in your App or Google Play Store, or simply scan the QR code upper right-hand corner of the screen. Though if you're already on your streaming device, it's going to be a little bit hard to scan that QR code. Temperatures, nearly steady, mid-upper 50s. We're going to try to get back to 60 by mid-afternoon. I think we will struggle to get there, though. Temperatures 6 p.m. They'll be at their warmest then, again, struggling to get to 61, 62 degrees cooler than when you left for work this morning. And that's 5 o'clock this afternoon. You know, typically kind of like a middle of the afternoon, sort of warmest of the day sort of time period. In fact, the past several days we've had our high temperatures 4:45 to 5:15 or so. Today our warmest temperature would probably be about midnight, maybe 12:30 this morning. So we've fallen through the day. We still have our gusty winds, cooler, windier weather kind of ruling the First Alert forecast as we go through the rest of the day. As of last check, no wind advisory in effect, but we're getting right up next to that kind of threshold there with winds gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Yeah, no wind advisory still at this time. For the metro. Nonetheless, it is windy out there. The airport gusting to 31 rather, and the Gainesville area gusting stronger than 30 miles an hour, nearly 30 miles an hour in Peachtree City. And keep in mind, this is not the strongest wind of the day. I think the wind peaks late this afternoon and this evening, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour in many neighborhoods, many communities. So just keep that in mind. Haven't seen the windiest of the weather yet, but certainly already feeling it, already noticing it out there. Today, that First Alert weather day lingering. A shock to the system from 80 to 60 with windy weather. And then this evening, it's going to be even chillier. We're quickly back in the 50s and then 40s this evening with the breeze still blowing. So you are going to want to make sure that you do have that extra layer for any evening plans. You know, date night tonight, any after-work errands, or if your students, your loved ones have activities outside, extra layer is certainly a good idea. And here's where temperatures kind of stack up across the area from west to east. Again, weather where you are. So we're trying to get down to your neighborhood and your community level, listing these here. Atlanta 63, though that may be a little hard to reach, 63. Warmest between 4 and 6 p.m. Gainesville 61, Athens 64, 61 Rome, Noonan 63. So basically, I think we've already reached our highs. We'll try to rebound a bit, recover back into the lower 60s this afternoon, but it is going to be fairly difficult to do so with gusty winds continuing in the First Alert forecast through at least early evening. Again, I would plan on winds gusting 30, 40 miles an hour, and maybe a little stronger than that, 40 to 45 miles an hour. We're talking peak wind gusts here up in the higher elevations, the mountains up far north Georgia, generally north of the city of Atlanta. Still breezy to windy here, but the strongest of the winds just a little bit removed from the city proper, as they normally are. Again, we're talking higher elevations here. That's where winds will be gustiest. It'll be most noticeable, and where winds will be most persistently gusty across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Do you want to go in depth here, though, talking about wind speeds? I'm going to pull up a new graphic here. Again, this is a forecast model's depiction of what winds will be doing through the day. In particular, we're focusing in on the wind gust potential late this afternoon on through the evening hours, because it is going to be quite gusty across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. No wind advisory in effect. Don't let that fool you, though. It's going to be a windy afternoon and evening, making that 60-degree temperature feel a little chillier, especially if you're in the shade. It may feel mild in the sun, but I think in general it's going to feel even chillier than what the thermometer reads, just because we do have some clouds. We're going to be battling those through the afternoon and the evening, and we do still have some gusty winds across North Georgia and the Metro Atlanta area. In fact, much of the southeast dealing with wind gusts. All right, here's that graphic we were talking about. Forecast as we go through the rest of the day. This actually jumping ahead a little bit here. Must have had a little bit of an edit. But we can do that on the fly here right now. Again, bear with me. We're going to switch this back to today, give you a closer look at wind speeds today. And let's go to today, current time. Again, this is basically how we build our weather graphics in the moment. Editing data times and then looking at the different variables. And then, sure enough, we have the first alert forecast. And again, here is one forecast model's depiction of what wind gusts will be doing through the rest of the afternoon and early this evening. And notice how tomorrow we're going to have some winds back in the first alert forecast as well. Winds gusting 30 to 40 today. It'll be breezy tonight. Breezy, not quite as windy as this afternoon, but certainly still a good breeze. And then we're gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour as we get into tomorrow afternoon with chillier air settling in. Kevin Green saying, work outside. I need this brick. I love it. Glad you're liking the cool breeze. Now, depending on what you do, if you're working construction, those winds are going to howl this afternoon and this evening. So heads up, first alert weather day. Winds will make jobs like that a little bit trickier this afternoon and this evening with winds gusting, again, easily 30 to 40 both this afternoon, early this evening, also tomorrow afternoon and early tomorrow evening. So, Kevin, glad you're loving the cool. Just keep in mind, we're going to crank winds up just a little bit further here over the next 5 to 6 hours. Now that kind of gave you the lay of the land, talked about how today's chillier, windier. Want to talk about the extended forecast, which I'll have for you coming up in just a bit. Atlanta News First at noon. I'm in for First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez, whom is going out to Rockdale County, Conyers, where a likely tornado caused quite a bit of damage, tree damage, but some structural damage as well. Fences down, siding torn off, roof damage. Again, this likely tornado striking just after midnight, middle of the night, as we were talking about that risk of severe weather. And now that we're on the backside of the system, it's the wind and the falling temperatures that we're dealing with. No more severe weather in the First Alert forecast. I do want to thank you for tuning in and for watching this weather where you are. Tanya asking what was the wind for the tornado. That's a good question, and we'll have more coming up at Atlanta News First at noon. Basically, they have yet to complete their survey. So they are out there right now. The National Weather Service office based out of Peachtree City has several areas that they're investigating. Only one of them really in our viewing area, and that's in Rockdale County. They're out there to determine where exactly the tornado touched down, where it lifted, if there were multiple tornadoes, and exactly how strong this tornado or tornadoes were as they move through Conyers and central portions of Rockdale County. So we don't yet, Tanya, have that answer, but we will be sending that information to you as soon as we get it. AtlantaNewsFirst.com and the Atlanta News First app, great tools to have as you go through the afternoon. That way you can stay in touch with the First Alert forecast and any updates we have out of Rockdale County. But again, right now we're talking wind. Not tornadic winds, just gusty old chilly breezes as colder air filters back into North Georgia and metro Atlanta. Full forecast, including more on the damage they're still dealing with in Rockdale County. That'll start here in about 16 minutes on Atlanta News First. You can stream that newscast anywhere you're watching this stream. And, of course, we'll keep you covered through the afternoon. First Alert Meteorologist Patrick Pete is back this evening, 8 p.m., for your next check of the Atlanta News First Plus First Alert forecast. Have yourself a wonderful day. Grab that jacket. You will need it through the afternoon.